Over to the next session. It's a marketing conclave. We have two speakers. The chairperson is going to be Mr. Sridharan instead of Mr. Rajaratnam, who's not keeping all that well. First, we have two speakers and two topics. Pharma Market Insights and Opportunities by Dr. Hari Natarajan, Founder and Managing Director of Pronto Consult, and Emotional Intelligence and at Work and Pharma Marketing, Sri Shivakumar Bellan, Director, Simple and Smart Solutions. May I request both of you to be on stage, be on the dais. Shivakumar Bellan is busy outside. Shivakumar, please come to the dais. Mr. Sridharan will chair the session and introduce the speakers and then take it on. Thank you so much. Audience, please be seated. Please be seated.
Yeah, very good morning to everybody. We had a wonderful session in the morning, and now we also have very good speakers in the next session now. And the first speaker is going to be Dr. Hari Natarajan. This is a marketing enclave. Okay. And we will focus on the marketing aspect of the business, pharma business. And I just want to give a brief introduction about Dr. Hari Natarajan. Dr. Hari Natarajan is a qualified professional with a doctorate for excellence in the field of management from Young Scientist University, USA, Master of Business Administration, Marketing, and a Bachelor of Chemical Engineering. He is possessing a robust work experience of more than 20 years, catering to the healthcare sector, being associated with distinguished organizations across the country. He has worked with organizations like IQVIA and AVAX in senior management roles. Currently, he is the founder and managing partner of Pronto Consult. He is proficient in leading marketing operations, conduct of extensive marketing research, providing consultancy development, business development strategies, among others. He's a very well-known face in IDMA forums. We don't have any format conferences without Mr. Hari. Thank you very much for your consistent contribution to this IDMA legacy. So I just don't want to waste my time and waste your time. So we will have Mr. Hari Natarajan. I invite you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. And I think this is going to be my sixth time speaking at the Pharmax South, and it's a pleasure to be here and to meet and greet all of you. Thank you so much. So what we have lined up in the next probably 20-25 minutes would be to speak about the pharma market insights and opportunities that's happening from a pharma market perspective. A lot of things have changed post-COVID, talking about normal, new normal, going back to normal again, and multiple aspects which people talk from different jargons in the marketing practices. But what's shaping the market and what exactly is going on from an overall market perspective is what we will see. And post that, we will also speak about a little bit from the Tamil Nadu market and seeing that how's TN as a state doing from a market perspective today. So that's the 6 parts predominantly which will talk about the overview. We have something from a retailer perspective, how retailers are becoming a very critical aspect in the new journey moving forward. A little bit on the market overview, moving on to importance of digitalization, engagement and trust from a consumer and retailer perspective. Then we have done something on the market asset value, that is breaking down Tamil Nadu into multiple other districts and see what exactly is the market penetration or the market valuation that we can expect at a district level, and definitely and finally coming to the new order. So this would be the broad 6 topics in which we will be talking about in the next 20-25 minutes as such. So if you talk about the Indian domestic pharma market, that's valued around close to $45 billion, or in INR, as per IQVIA, that reports is around 1,83,000 crores. That's the pharma market turnover in a year's time. And predominantly with more than 1,000 healthcare setups have come in the last COVID period. I would say in the last 24 months, India has witnessed a boom in terms of healthcare startups, with more than 1,000 startups coming up across the sector, not only in terms of industry, but also in terms of technology space, in terms of vaccination, in terms of CROs and multiple other aspects. This has boomed from a perspective of the healthcare space. With over 47,000 stockists which are operating in the pharma sector today, with approximately Tamil Nadu has around 2,300 plus stockists only from a state of Tamil Nadu, with more than 8 to 9 lakh retailers, and around 70% of the retailers, if you see, are very satisfied with the brands that they are selling today, but they wanted more marketing efforts from the company's perspective. So this we have seen even at a doctor level, and when we see at a retailer level, brands pick up, brands sell on their own, especially if you are in the nutraceutical segment, OTC segment, dermatological, cosmetical segment, the brands are moving depending upon the consumer sentiments and the consumer buyout. But there are cases where retailers have said, okay, brands are moving in my shop, but I wish that the pharma company could do something more in terms of marketing efforts, in terms of strategic efforts, especially in the post-COVID era. And Tamil Nadu as a state ranks amongst the top 5 states in the country in terms of market valuation. For Maharashtra, UP, Karnataka, all sits on the top, but Tamil Nadu is amongst the top 5 in the Indian pharma market in terms of the market valuation. The other thing that also has come from an healthcare market overview is 67% of the doctors, or I will also use the term as SCPs, which are nothing but the healthcare providers, are very happy with the brands that they are writing. But contrary to the expectation, 23% of the doctors who are writing a brand were not met by any person of that company. They have been using that brand. So still the brand equity or the brand valuation that is embedded in the doctor's mind is so strong, the doctor continues to prescribe that particular brand, maybe a prescribed product or maybe even an OTC category, but the kind of impetus that brand has made into the doctor's mind is such that he's still prescribing it, and that's a huge number with 23% of the doctors. So if the company would have done certain more marketing efforts or certain more activities, by activities, I don't mean CRM at all. I mean to say traditional marketing activities if the companies would have done, probably the brand valuation would have much more bigger today than what it would have been at the current point of time. Current brand estimate from a market perspective is that if you have a brand of more than 15 to 20 crores, the brand valuation is somewhere between 2 to 3x is what is the brand valuation today. But if a brand is more than a 50 to 100 crore brand, and if it's going to be a pan-India brand, then the valuation shoots up to nearly 5 to 7x. So that's how the power of branding is from a market perspective. Feedback from retailers, stockists, predominantly if you see that, sales related, 64% of them said that they need something on the customer engagement front. That's something that we are missing on, is the engagement that we have with our customers. Gone are the days when used to be before the COVID, where we used to meet 24/7, the doctors or retailers. Then came the COVID era, where it was everything from a Zoom meeting perspective and all the things that came into the market perspective. But now coming back again, customers are looking at something where they can engage more from brand perspective or from a customer perspective. Needed more company interaction by 29% of the people. And definitely good thing is that in the last, you can say predominantly 6 months, we have started seeing new prescriptions that have been started generating, which had stopped during the course of the time. But we are seeing that there's an increase in the new prescriptions prescribed by the doctors across the doctor specialties. So this is an average of all the doctor specialties put together. 72% of them felt that the market opportunity is very big and Indian brands can do much, much better than what they have been doing today, not only from an India perspective, but also from a global footprint perspective. Competition is definitely local, as well as the generic players, as well as the multinationals who are operating in the country today. From a service-related perspective, what came about from a retailer's perspective was 56% of this mentioned that trade discounts are critical. 29% was more on the bonus offers, and the other important aspect that started coming about is social media. 33% of the retailers said that most of the consumers, if it is probably an OTC brand or even a prescriptive brand during the last 2 years, the consumers or the patients have approached the retailer what they have seen in the social media regarding probably the doctors who are posting it, regarding the consumers who are giving feedback, multiple aspects as such. So if I summarize, retailer predominantly was becoming a very critical aspect. Earlier, the distribution used to happen that our more dependency used to be on definitely on the doctors as definitely on the stockists. But retailers are becoming the most critical aspect today, and they are giving the maximum. This is what is more important. The last point that you see here, 39% of the retailers had given an informed choice to the consumers. And this was not only the OTC brand, but also in cases of acute products, which related to gastro-related products or even related to fever, pain, you name it. The retailers played a very important role or model in the patient or the consumer buying a particular molecule or particular brand within the particular molecule as such. 61% of the retailers felt that certain companies need to be more aggressive as there is a big opportunity for those size of brands. So this is across the doctor specialties, across the pharma companies. But one good thing about it is 73% of the retailers were very satisfied with most of the brands which are operating in the country today in terms of the brand equity, quality, price, name it. So they were quite significantly very happy. Only a handful, I would say 27% of the retailers whom we surveyed were not happy with multiple aspect things from a brand perspective. How retailers become a very critical aspect. So this was a study that we did for Zincovit in order to understand predominantly how retailers played a very critical role during the COVID times. It's OTC, it's not a OTC brand, it's a prescribed brand by the doctors, but the kind of noise level and the kind of thing that happened for Zincovit during the COVID times was such high that if you see, Zincovit was recommended by 53% of the retailers. I go to a retailer saying that I have a body pain, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling blah, blah, blah. You see in the next slide, the retailer said take Zincovit. And this was a pan-India survey which was conducted. So retailers played a very critical role, and the reason for that was they felt the perception was it's a very effective medicine in today's scenario. Better medicine for immunity, gives you strength to daily work. It's widely recommended by doctors. The company did activities or not, I'm not here to say about it, but this is what the perception was on the retailer's front, and this is what got conveyed to the brand and the brand to the consumers. And at one point of time, the brand was such a big brand that it became the #1 brand in the country. So marketing played a very important role, but retailers played a very critical role from the perspective of Zincovit going to the consumers. This happened to me also. When I had gone to my retailer during the COVID times and I had got COVID, the retailer said, Zincovit liya ki nahi? Did you take Zincovit or not? And in Bombay. Similarly, my colleagues who were present across the India, when they just stood at a retailer to do multiple surveys, what we do, the retailer was in different languages telling the patients ki Zincovit le lo, 4 patta le lo, 2 patta le lo. That's how they were communicating to the consumers as such. So that's what I meant to say is retailers are going to be a very critical aspect as we move along in the journey of pharma distribution going forward. If you see from a market perspective today, the pharma market is valued at around 1,83,000 crores as per IQVIA reports, where cardiology, anti-infectives and gastroenterology are the top 3 markets in India today. So cardiac, anti-infectives and GI market constitute nearly 34% of the total Indian pharma market. Respiratory, GI, pain have consistently grown and have grown the fastest across the last 1 year on a MAT basis. Never go by the market history on a monthly basis, because monthly it depends upon the previous year, same month period, multiple aspects. You'll always have to see the trend. And from a trend perspective, as of now, the pharma market on a MAT basis is growing around 8%. Our market feedback also states that the Indian pharma market is expected to grow much further and probably even enter the double-digit growth rates as we move along more into 2022 as such. little bit of market erosion might happen, especially in the diabetes segment, with market valuation going down for the gliptins as sitagliptin comes off patent. So we are seeing a numerous launches and prices are going to slash more than 1/3 of the innovator price. So companies are already launching sitagliptin combination with metformin and sitagliptin combination with dapagliflozin. So this is something is going to shape the futuristic market, and it's going to be a fight between vildagliptin and sitagliptin as we move along in the DPP-4 category as such. So if I summarize it, North Zone in India predominantly believes on cash discounts, bonus gifts were critical aspect. For South Zone, surprisingly, apart from the thing to note is sales availability, MR visits also played a very critical role in South Zone. So as we normally traditionally say that India operates in 4 different silos: North Zone, East Zone, West Zone, and South Zone. South Zone is predominantly educational based. They require science, they require visits. Similarly goes for East. East is purely on emotionally based, charged up, how you charge your doctors, your retailers and everything. West and North are a mix of both. CRM, discounts, multiple aspects happen from a North and West perspective. They wanted gift schemes, cash discounts, dispensing doctors were becoming a very critical aspect. Another important aspect that came about, favored sales and prescription consistency was also important for a retailer to keep your brand. 38% of the retailers that we surveyed said that prescription consistency is required. So don't be happy if you generate a prescription from a doctor. The consistency of prescription is the most critical aspect that we need to embed in ourselves from a marketing perspective. The last part is regional influence are playing a very critical role now. So we understand the market asset of the value. It is now seen that districts are playing a very critical role. What's happening in a Chennai district today in terms of products or brands is not the same that we see probably in a Tanjavur district or a Kumbakonam place or probably even within the district at the regional places as well. So when we did surveys and when we meet my retailers, we found that in, say for example, if we take the Tanjore district and the Kumbakonam district, so Tanjore district, what was selling out there was not selling predominantly in a place called Needamangalam. The entire geography, the demographic, the population, the growth, everything got changed as we move along. So gone are the times when we think about all India strategies moving to regional strategies. Is a time now to probably even think at a district level strategies and district level brand ambassadors or brand managers as we move along depending upon the core strength of our districts as such. Digitalization and something which has really changed up the pharma market, and something that we see here, and this was a survey, this was a thing that was done by BCG, and in that survey they understood that what percent of interaction of patients would be on virtually in the next 3 to 5 years. And you will see that most of the top specialties or the chronic business, if I say, like cardiology, oncology, primary care, general surgery, you will find that everywhere there has been the doctors who have reported that let it be in terms of the first interaction, let it be in terms of the test results, pre-operation, direct post-operation, long-term, an average of nearly 45 to 55% of the doctors mentioned that they would be moving in from a virtual perspective of how they treat their patients. And that's something which we are seeing, especially in the chronic areas, definitely not probably in the acute or dermatology to a certain extent where the patient or the doctor needs to see a patient. But yes, in cardiology, diabetology, in chronic business, once you have met your doctor, then it's only your test follow-up and complete other things, which is now becoming more of virtually acceptable norm from a market perspective. The other thing that we also see is driving brands, and digital framework has never been so important than now. Digitalization is something which is here to stay. It may be a mix of physical and digital, what we call today as phygital. But brand building efforts had an average score of 2.1 amongst the highest ever in terms of the 10 being the least important and 1 being the highest. The highest score that was generated was for brand awareness, followed by digital framework at 2.4. Customer acquisition, retailer acquisition also became a very critical aspect as we move along in this journey from 2022 to moving into 23 and much beyond it. We expect that by 2020, we would have much more digitalization, if not earlier. But 2020 and beyond will see a much more digitalized India, much more interaction on a virtual platform, much more interaction that we have with the doctors, not only from a physical perspective, but also digitally. I again reiterate that physical is important, but it should be a mix of both physical and digital as we move along in this journey going forward. What are the different modes that the doctors preferred or the healthcare preferred? If we see from a perspective today, let it be on email, WhatsApp, social media, journal advertising, display in clinics, videos, online CMEs, face-to-face or phygital, most of the HCPs definitely preferred a face-to-face approach with the companies, no doubt on that. Nothing can replace a face-to-face meeting with your customer, speaking to him, understanding his viewpoint and multiple other aspects. But phygital as such, if I say face-to-face was reported by 57 was the high preference, phygital was also not less at 49%. So most preferred, so definitely strategies should be adopted in a way that it has to be a mix of both, one. Second thing, don't overuse WhatsApp messages. WhatsApp messages has become so much in the last few years, the doctors are furious. There have been instances where doctors have stopped the brands or banned that company personnel from entering the chamber because of the WhatsApp messages the person used to send. I know of a doctor whom we interact with. She used to get messages at 4 a.m. in the morning saying that, doctor, please prescribe my brand, and with a 5 MB WhatsApp message of the entire visual aid. So that's how it used to happen. So doctors are too pissed, use WhatsApp, but very sparsely and to the point what you want to convey to the particular doctor. Yeah. Who did the consumer trust? Which channels did the customer trust? Most important trust parameter is friends and relatives. I would not say it for a prescription brand, but definitely if it is going to be an OTC, dermatological or anything which a consumer is buying it, friends and relatives followed by doctors and retailers. These are the most three important people in their life whom they trust the most when they want to buy a certain product or use a particular brand. If a negative response goes, they don't buy it. So and today, friends, families, social media are playing a very, very pivotal role in all those things. The least they trust is hoardings, print media advertisements, advertisement on websites, ads on messages and WhatsApp. That is the least that they trust in terms of anything that you want to convey to a particular thing. Retailers, as I've been talking about, are the third biggest trusted partner today for a informed choice consumer. So don't neglect your retailers. Retailers are going to be there and they are expanding with more than 6 lakh retailers in the country today who is selling at least one pharma brand. That's something that is here to stay from a long-term perspective. The other important aspect is what time do they prefer to receive your messages. This was a survey that we conducted across doctor specialties to understand from them what is your most convenient time. One thing that I can tell you, the most inconvenient time for them is Saturday's evening. Don't disturb them on Saturday's evenings, please. And the most preferred time was Sunday evening because they are now planning for the next day where they have to go probably for operations or the clinic visits. So they are ready to accept on a Sunday evening. But Saturday evening, they are not ready to accept any discussion or anything on their phones, emails, WhatsApp, you name it, is the most preferred, non-preferred time. So the dark blues which you see is the most preferred time, and the light ones are the most non-preferred times. Monday totally is not preferred by them to the most, except probably somewhere between 1 to 5 p.m. where some of the doctors said that they're okay because they are taking a break, so they are accepting it. Dermatology physicians are some are preferring around 11 to 1 p.m. slot. General surgeons are preferring around 2 to 5 p.m. slot for receiving their messages. In terms of specialty, 5 to 8 p.m. on weekdays is the time preferred by physicians, except for gynecologists and orthopedicians who prefer an evening time only after 8 p.m. So, in whichever specialty you are, whichever markets you are, plan accordingly. Again, this changes from city to city, state to state. What holds good for Chennai is not held good for Calcutta. So Calcutta, we find that after 5 p.m. to nobody responds anything most of the times. So you need to plan accordingly. In Chennai, it's the reverse way where after 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is normally where the preference of the doctors and is to a greater extent. So from an all India perspective, if we spoke about the pharma market, Maharashtra, West Bengal, UP, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka are the biggest markets in India. Amongst the South Zone, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka are the two biggest markets. So the left-hand side, the India image that you see, the dark ones are the most promising markets from an Indian pharma perspective, and Tamil Nadu is one of them. Tamil Nadu is amongst the top 5 states in India from a pharma marketing perspective today. 27% of the pharma market sits in South Zone. Cardiology, diabetes, gastro, vitamins, dermatological predominantly dominates South Zone. Bengaluru, Chennai, Hyderabad, Coimbatore, Madurai, Trivandrum, Vijayawada, Trichy, Mysuru are the top biggest markets in the entire South Zone perspective. And if we come towards more of South Zone, it is Erode, Vizag, Kottayam, Mangaluru, Kollam, Warangal, Vellore, Palakkad, all becomes very critical from a market perspective in the South Zone perspective today. And if I understand only Tamil Nadu markets, if I talk about the different districts together, each district, as I talked about, plays a very, very critical role from a market perspective. What sells in Chennai is not selling in Kanyakumari and Tirunelveli. This is something which you will be able to understand if we go there, we see the markets, we see the doctors, we understand what's driving that particular area as such. But Chennai as a district controls nearly 35% of the sales of the entire state of Tamil Nadu in terms of value. So if 100 rupees sale happens in Tamil Nadu, 35 rupees directly comes to Chennai pocket. Nearly 25 to 30,000 retailers are there in the state of Tamil Nadu, out of which nearly 9,000 retailers are in the city of Chennai. Chennai, I mean the entire metropolitan area of Chennai. In South India or predominantly in Tamil Nadu, it is Glimepiride, Metformin, multivitamins, statins, PPIs, ARBs, cosmeceuticals, which drive the sales in the state of Tamil Nadu. And in terms of districts, apart from Chennai, you have Coimbatore, Madurai, Erode, Trichy, Salem and Tanjore are the top districts where pharma market sales happen at a district level in terms of values as such. So that's what we saw earlier slide was predominantly on a all India basis. Now this is predominantly only for the state of Tamil Nadu. The other important aspect is now if we ask the questions has changed from that period to done period. Done period I mean to say is the period before COVID. Now we really need to understand what's the optimal marketing send across the geographies. Gone are a time when we used to spend that, okay, 20 LBLs across the PSRs across the country. No, now we need to understand that. How can we change the basis of competition and have new brands or benchmark set? Competition benchmarking has changed a lot. How should we allocate our sales force time and efforts across the channels? Channel management is also now become a very critical aspect. Traditional channel management not only includes your stockist retailer route, but now channels includes direct to your government tenders, your hospital sales, e-pharmacy network. That also is now a very important growing channel from a market perspective. Can we create an atmosphere that fosters challenge, fun, safety and cleanliness is something that we need to drive on. So the questions that now we ask are changing as the times have passed on. How to seize opportunities that demonstrate excellent execution? Gone are the times of only execution, now are the times of excellent execution. How can we preempt and manage disruptions due to unknown external factors is something that we need to understand. And to summarize it, if I talk about, now is the time for significantly enhancing customer engagement. From CRM, it is CEM now, which is customer engagement model that we are talking about.
build tight partnership ecosystems platform with digital approach, engage and empower employees. HRs are going to be a very critical partner in this changeover. Look at territory spending and district brand mapping as we move along in terms of the new order per se. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful speaking to all of you, and thank you so much again.
Over to Shivkumar Bellan. Thank you, Mr. Harina Rajan. And we'll come to the wrapping up session after this speech is over. Shivkumar Bellan on emotional intelligence and at work and pharma marketing.